Gary Page. In the Catholic Church, canonization does not create a saint, but only recognizes officially that someone was a saint all along. In Scientology, when someone is declared a suppressive person, is the process similarly recognizing officially that the person was an SP all along? If so, study tech was invented by SPs, being in fact the creation of two Scientologists who were subsequently declared. In like manner, at least one of the upper OT levels was written by an SP, David Mayo. Leaving aside how Hubbard could know that 2.5% of the population at large are SPs, one has the impression with the blizzard of SP declares among ex-Scientologists that the percentage of latent SPs in the church is far higher than 2.5%. Can we put a ballpark figure on this actual percentage? If it is indeed much higher, how is this explained inside the church? Presumably not because the church is naturally attractive to criminals. Okay, so the way that it goes is yes, a person who is declared a suppressive person was always a suppressive person. When Hubbard first started talking about suppressive people or antisocial personalities back in the mid-60s, he said that it was a technical problem. In other words, it was a problem that could surrender to auditing, and that Hubbard had developed a series of processes that could handle why a person was antisocial. And this was, if true, this would be a breakthrough of magnitude, because it means that serial killers and serial criminals and people who are, doing the world in could be handled by doing these Scientology processes on them. I mean, this would be huge. This would be the biggest breakthrough in psychology that's ever happened. Well, of course, Hubbard doesn't have that, but he, said that he did. And then, of course, he promptly made it confidential. These processes are part of the power processes, which I've talked about before, and which are confidential levels that are part of the alternate clear route now, right? If you don't go clear with Dianetics, then you do power, power plus, and these other services in order to become clear. But Hubbard said that a side effect of one of these processes, or an unintended consequence of one of these processes, or a couple of the processes, is that you could handle an antisocial personality. So that was part of the original claim with suppressive people and talking about suppressive people. But Hubbard also said these people are so bad and horrible and evil and are trying to do the world in at such a mad rate that he wasn't really super interested in trying to handle them with his advanced technology. And so Scientology was not going to engage in any kind of effort to rid the world of these antisocial personalities. That's says volumes about Hubbard's true humanitarian objectives. He didn't have any, when it comes to saving the world or actually clearing the planet or making the world a better place. One of many proofs of that, when you actually critically examine Hubbard's track record and claims through the years, you find that he was making gigantic claims a couple times about being able to handle psychosis and evil intentions and antisocial personalities, and yet did absolutely nothing to get that information out to people who would actually be interested in doing something with that. Right? Maybe Scientology doesn't have to do it, but let's give that information over to criminal rehab therapists or psychology or something like that, right? And say, hey, look, we've cracked it. We got it. We figured it out, right? No, we're not going to do anything like that. So, hypocrisy as far as I'm concerned. Now, that being said, that is why a suppressive person has always been a suppressive person. If a person is truly suppressive in this way, right? In other words, if this is all true, and it is a condition that a person has had, and Hubbard said that the condition comes from something that happened way long ago, right? I love the way that I point over here to point, long ago, right? As time's linear. Anyway, if it happened long ago, some incident happened, some horrible, awful thing happened, where the person got stuck in this incident where they were being attacked or overwhelmed. They were overwhelmed by the enemy, basically. And I don't know, there must be something else more tricky to it than that. But basically, he said that that a person was completely, thoroughly overwhelmed. Like, let's say they were, fighting on in a musket line or something, and they're shooting, and they run out of bullets, and here comes the enemy, and they're charging, and here come the bayonets, and they get overwhelmed, and they get stuck at this point in time. Okay, and the reason they're antisocial is because they are so stuck in this violent, overwhelming incident that they now can't move forward in time as far as how they're perceiving the world. So everyone around them is a person with a bayonet sticking them, right? If they're stuck in this incident I just talked about, right? Or everybody is an FBI agent, or everybody is, an alien trying to kill them. And that's how they see the world. And that's why they act the way they do, right? They are trying to destroy everything around them because they think everybody around them is trying to destroy them. And so that's why this power processing would work to pull the person out of this stuck incident that they are trapped in, right? And that is Hubbard's explanation for suppressive people, right? So, of course, this would be a condition that you would be stuck in, your whole life. You'd be born into having this condition. You'd be living life after life after life, stuck in this thing that happened thousands or millions of years ago. So Hubbard said that because they learn, as they grow in life, you get a new body and you grow up, and based on, wherever you're born or whatever, you're going to learn a language and learn education and learn, you're going to learn socially, you're going to learn some stuff. You're going to learn how to kind of get along with people, but you're always going to be seeing them through this like crazy veil, right? So, so that's how SPs can ingratiate themselves into situations socially and look like they have friends and look like they, maybe even have spouses and kids and all this stuff. But inside, they're mad. They're just absolutely nuts. So, so that's why they've always been SPs. And as far as the percentages of them, I don't know. I don't know any way that you could actually determine how many SPs have been in Scientology, because I don't have a census figure for how many Scientologists total there have been. I have an estimate, out of my own education and background with it, but I can't say for sure. So it would be kind of silly of me to throw percentages around. 2.5 is as good as any other number. But I think, but in terms of how many people have come into Scientology and been declared and kicked out, yeah, probably more than 2.5%. And Scientologists, if they thought about this at all, and they don't, but if they did, if you were to sit a Scientologist down and go, dude, there seem to be a lot of SPs getting into Scientology and getting kicked out and now speaking out against it and all this kind of stuff, what's the deal? If you were to actually get a Scientologist to answer that question, they would probably say that the reason there are more SPs connected with Scientology is because those SPs think that because they're trying to destroy everything around them and because they're basically evil, operating on evil intentions, they try specifically to take out Scientology, because Scientology is the only thing that can undo a suppressive person, right? It's the only thing that can undo all their work. So that's why Scientology becomes a target for suppressive people, and that's why more suppressive people would come after Scientology than you would see suppressive people come after the Boy Scouts or come after the GOP or something, right? That's why. That's what they would say. So there you go.